Welcome to the 2014 Intramural Outdoor Soccer Captains video. During this video, we will talk about intramural sports program rules and regulations, as well as rules and regulations for the intramural outdoor soccer season in the spring of 2014. First, we will tell you about our eCheckup to Go program, which is an online confidential alcohol assessment. If your team gets 75% of its players on the final roster to complete the assessment and send the verification to Intramural Sports, you will receive a refund of your entry fee. Details for this are available on the Intramural Sports website or by visiting imleagues.com. The refund will be processed at the end of the outdoor soccer season after the championship game, and the refund will be processed to the team captain's U-bill. The Intramural staff consists of Tommy Shore, the director of Intramural Sports, graduate assistants Matt McCarthy and Drew Dunlay, and 9 student supervisors who you can see pictured here. If you have any questions about intramural outdoor soccer or anything related to intramural sports, and you see one of these supervisors at the fields during your games or at any other time, please do not hesitate to ask them your questions. They will be happy to get them answered and get you the information that you need. If you've made it this far, you're probably somewhat familiar with imleagues.com, which is our registration and scheduling website for intramural sports at the University of Iowa. On this website, we will post league announcements for outdoor soccer, and you can manage your roster. You can add players to your roster throughout the season as well as during registration, and once registration is over, we will publish schedules to imleagues.com. So you will visit imleagues.com to find your team schedules, updated standings throughout the season, and updated brackets throughout the playoffs. Additionally, you can find sport rules and information sheets for not only outdoor soccer, but all of our intramural sports or events by visiting that homepage and clicking on the handbooks and manuals link on the left after you hover over the sport icon. A picture of this is on the current slide so you can see what it looks like. Some responsibilities we have of you as team captain are to make sure that your teammates are eligible and to make sure those teammates know sport and program rules and regulations. If a participant violates a rule or a regulation of the intramural sports program or of intramural outdoor soccer, it is not an excuse that he or she simply didn't know that rule or policy. All participants must know those rules and policies and must abide by them. Additionally, if we need to contact your team for any reason from the Intramural Sports office, you will serve our contact for that purpose. To manage your team roster, players can be added to your team roster until 2 p.m. the day of your team's quarterfinal playoff game. So, if you play through the regular season and qualify for the playoffs and continue to advance, you can continue to add players to your team roster until 2 p.m. the day of your quarterfinal playoff game. In order to be eligible to play that night, a player must be added to your team roster by 2 p.m. the day of the game. So if you play on a Wednesday night, you must have your roster set by 2 p.m. on Wednesday for that night's game. Anybody added after that will not be permitted to play. Make sure as team captain that you are checking imleagues.com frequently to make sure that your roster is current and has no errors. A lot of times there will be changes in eligibility status among players and captains don't know about it. A player drops all their classes or leaves their employment with the university, making him or her ineligible, and doesn't tell the captain. So please make sure you're checking your roster frequently to make sure all your players are eligible. If you need to drop a player, you can do so by filling out a player drop request form, which is available on the main deck of the fieldhouse near E216 Fieldhouse and on imleagues.com, as well as the Intramural Sports website through Recreational Services. Once you have that form completed, you can submit it via email by scanning and emailing it to intramural-sports@uiowa.edu or submitting it to the roster drop box located outside the Intramural Sports office in E216 Fieldhouse. Outdoor soccer will consist of 8 total players on the field at a time per team. The co-rec legal lineups are listed on the screen, and at no point can any one gender outnumber the other gender by more than one in terms of the number of players on the field per team. All of these legal lineups must include a goalie, and that goalie must wear a different colored shirt than the rest of his or her team. Eligible participants in the University of Iowa Intramural Sports Program include University of Iowa students, faculty, and staff members, as well as spouses or legally married partners of University of Iowa students and faculty and staff. However, those spouses or legally married partners must play on the same team as their originally eligible student, faculty, or staff member at the University of Iowa, and each player may only represent one team in intramural outdoor soccer. Once a player enters a second team, violating that policy, that player is ineligible for the remainder of the season from participating in intramural outdoor soccer. If your team has an ineligible player on the roster, your team will forfeit any games in which that player participated. Intercollegiate athletes cannot participate on an intramural team in his or her sport or a related sport. So, an Iowa soccer player cannot play intramural outdoor soccer. Former Division I athletes must sit out 2 full semesters in their sports, in this case soccer, in order to compete in intramural outdoor soccer. Sport club athletes have a restriction as well in terms of no more than 2 current University of Iowa sport club athletes or coaches can participate in an intramural team in that related sport. So make sure you are following these guidelines and only including eligible participants on your roster. When you get to the game site to participate in intramural outdoor soccer, all participants must present their University of Iowa ID cards prior to each game. You'll do so by checking in with the official on your field using your University ID card. If you do not have a University of Iowa ID card, you cannot play, and there are no exceptions to this. So captains, please remind all of your players to bring their University of Iowa IDs for every game so that they can participate. At the same time that they are checking University IDs and checking you into the game, the officials will also check for metal cleats, as metal cleats are illegal in intramural outdoor soccer. If any players use somebody else's ID, this is a misuse of an ID. Any person caught misusing an ID is subject to suspension from intramural sports, and intramural sports reserves the right to discipline not only the person using the ID, but the person supplying the ID, as well as the team captain. And all these incidents will be passed along to the Dean of Students' office, as this is a violation of the Student Code of Conduct. During participation in intramural sports, all participants are expected to display good sportsmanship. That is the focus of our program, and that is what our officials and staff will be placing an emphasis on. It is a recreational sport programmed for you to have fun and enjoy your experience, but at the same time, our officials are not there to be yelled at. Any participant who may take part in a fight will be suspended from all recreational activities for at least 1 calendar year. That's all recreational activities within the Recreational Services Department at the University of Iowa. And again, these incidents will be reported to the Dean of Students' office. If a player on your team is ejected, that player is required to have a meeting with the intramural staff along with the team captain. Both of those participants are ineligible to participate until after the meeting, so both the ejected player and the participant are immediately suspended and cannot be reinstated until the meeting takes place, and the ejected player is suspended at least 1 additional game following the ejection meeting. Each game, our officials will rate teams on a sportsmanship scale of 1 to 4. 1 is poor, 4 is excellent. Both teams will start with a 2.5 rating and can either move their way up by being good sports or move their way down by being bad sports. Any teams receiving a 2 or 1 will be notified. If you receive a 2, you'll be notified via email. And if you receive a 1, you'll be notified via email. And you'll be required to meet with the intramural sports administrative staff to discuss your team's behavior. In addition, you must maintain a 2.5 or better sportsmanship point average to be eligible for the playoffs regardless of your loss record. All of our outdoor soccer games will be officiated by Intramural Sports student officials. All of these officials are trained by the Intramural Sports staff. Some of them may be working soccer for the first time, some of them may be very experienced in soccer, but they are out there to provide a service to you and allow you to play intramural outdoor soccer. If you choose to abuse this privilege, you will not be permitted to play intramural sports any longer. We expect that you will treat the officials with the respect you expect to receive from them during the game. If you would like to be an outdoor soccer official in the intramural sports program, you can attend our officials training. There's no previous experience required, and you do not have to have worked for intramural sports previously. So, attend the officials training meeting on Monday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. in room 201 of the field house. If you have never officiated for intramural sports before, you will also need to stay a little bit after the outdoor soccer training for important job information and details how to get going working for intramural sports. But we encourage you, if you are interested in officiating outdoor soccer, to attend the training session on Monday, March 10th at 6:30 p.m. We schedule intramural sports and program for these games to happen, so we do not like these games to not happen. If a team is not ready within 10 minutes of the scheduled game time, that team will forfeit. Any team that forfeits will automatically be fined half of the registration fee, which for outdoor soccer is $32.50. That team will have the opportunity to gain a refund of that forfeit fine as long as they do not forfeit their last game. So if you forfeit your first game and play the remainder of your games, you will receive a refund of that forfeit fine. But if you forfeit your last game of the regular season and don't make playoffs, or if you forfeit your playoff game, you will not have an opportunity to receive a refund of your forfeit fine. If you know that you cannot make a game, don't have enough players on a given night because of a test or some other conflict, you can default. What a default is letting our office know that you will not be there for that night's game, and you let us know in advance so we can let the officials know, we can let the other team know so they don't have to show up and waste their time for no game. The first time you do this, there's no fine. We appreciate the heads up and we can adjust accordingly. The second time, the captain will be fined 25% of the registration fee cost. Again, we want games to happen, so we cannot have you defaulting multiple times in the season. If there is a third default, the captain will be fined 50% of the registration fee cost. Again, we want to discourage this from happening because everybody signs up with the intention of playing their games. To default, you must declare it by 2 p.m. the day of the game to Andrew-Dunlay at uiowa.edu or by phone at 319-335-9292. If something happens during the game that you wish to protest, you may protest as long as it's a misinterpretation or misapplication of a rule. No judgment calls may be protested. So you can protest that the official gave an indirect kick when it should have been a direct kick. That is something that's protestable, but whether or not the ball was in the goal or inbounds or out of bounds is not a protestable call because that is a judgment call. In order to protest, you must call a timeout immediately and tell the official you want to protest. The sports supervisor on duty that night will make a ruling after hearing the situation. If you still do not agree with the ruling, you can file a written protest along with $5 to the intramural office by noon the first business day following the game. If your protest is upheld and you are correct, you will receive a $5 refund. And we will go back and replay the rest of that game from the point of the incorrect ruling. If you are wrong and your protest is not upheld, we will keep the $5 and the game will stand as played. In intramural outdoor soccer, we require matching colored team t-shirts for all players, the only exception being the goalie. You will select your team t-shirt color during registration. Once registration is over, we will make team schedules and those will be posted on imleagues.com by Thursday, March 13th. Games will begin on Tuesday, March 25th, which is the first Tuesday after spring break. Once we get going with games, you can find standings on imleagues.com, and at the end of the season, the top 2 teams in each division will qualify for the single elimination playoff bracket. Intramural outdoor soccer games will take place at the Hawkeye Recreation Fields on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. The Hawkeye Recreation Fields are located on Hawkeye Park Road out on West Campus. The Hawkeye Interdorm CAN bus route makes stop at the fields throughout the night if you want to take the CAN bus out to the fields. At the Hawkeye Recreation Fields, we do not permit metal cleats as a part of intramural outdoor soccer. In addition, alcohol and tobacco products are prohibited from both the field area of the Hawkeye Recreation Fields and the parking lot. Should we experience inclement weather the day of a game, you can check the status of that night's games via the Weather Postponements info line. That phone number is 319-353-3000. It will be updated by 3 p.m. the day of the games in regards to that night's intramural games and the status of whether or not they will be played. Please do not call the membership services offices at the field house or the CRWC asking about the status of intramural games at night, as they will not know the answer. Go ahead and call the Weather Postponements info line at 353-3000. Outdoor soccer will consist of 2 20-minute halves of running clock with no injury time, and in between the halves a halftime not exceeding 7 minutes will take place. If both teams are ready to continue playing, the halftime will be less than 7 minutes. The clock will stop for injuries and any time the officials deem necessary, such as a rules protest. If a team is ahead by 5 or more goals with 10 minutes or less remaining in the game, that game will be ended due to the mercy rule. And as we talked about before, 8 players will play on the field at one time for each team, one of which must be the goalkeeper. Jewelry is not permitted to be worn during intramural outdoor soccer, and all jewelry must be removed before the start of the game. The only jewelry that is permitted is a medical alert bracelet, which must be taped down, or medical alert necklace, which must also be taped down. Illegal jewelry includes, but is not limited to, any visible piercings, any rings or necklaces, or any bracelets, anklets, rubber bands, hair ties around wrists or the ankles, silicone bracelets, etc. If a player is found to be wearing jewelry while participating, that player will immediately be assessed a yellow card. At the beginning of the game, a coin toss will take place, and the team winning the coin toss will choose which goal it would like to defend in the first half. The team losing the coin toss will kick off in the first half, and once teams switch sides, the team winning the original coin toss will kick off to start the second half. All substitutions must be made at the substitution zone marked by cones at midfield. If a person wants to substitute, he or she must stand at the midfield line prior to any dead ball, and during the dead ball, the officials will allow a substitute made in the substitution zone. If a ball goes out of bounds on the sideline, it will result in a throw-in at that spot by the team not last to touch the ball. If it goes out of bounds on the end line, if the ball is last touched by the attacking team, it will result in a goal kick by the goalkeeper. If it was last touched by the defending team, it will result in a corner kick, which is a direct kick by the attacking team. Fouls and misconduct that result in direct free kicks include, but are not limited to, kicking, tripping, striking an opponent, pushing, holding, charging an opponent, a handball or slide tackling an opponent, as slide tackling is not permitted in intramural outdoor soccer. Indirect free kick fouls include playing in a dangerous manner, intentional obstruction of an opponent, charging a goalkeeper out of the penalty area, goalkeeper violations, and illegal substitutions. Make sure you are adhering to the rules of the game and playing clean so we do not have any of these incidents. A yellow card will be given for certain violations or when deemed necessary by the official. Some examples of things that will result in a yellow card being assessed are a substitution violation, persistent infringement of the rules by the same player, arguing the decision of the officials. Remember, sportsmanship is the priority of all intramural sports games, and behaving in an unsportsmanlike manner, as well as jewelry, which was previously discussed. A red card will result in ejection, and a red card can be assessed for serious foul play, violent conduct or fighting, persistent foul or abusive language either directed at the other team or at the officials, or a second yellow card offense for the same player. As discussed before, there will be an ejection that accompanies a red card, which will result in the offending team playing down a player for the remainder of the game. This is instituted regardless of the number of goals scored during that time. A team will automatically default if more than one player on that team is ejected from the same game, as we cannot condone ejections as a part of intramural outdoor soccer. At the end of regulation, if the score is tied, we will go directly to a shootout. Each team in the shootout will provide 5 shooters to the referee, and a coin toss will determine which team shoots first. The process of the overtime shootout is consistent with most shootouts in soccer. Teams will alternate shooters until all 5 for each team have shot, or until one team is guaranteed more goals than the other team in the shootout. If all 5 shooters on each team have shot their penalty kicks and there is no winner, the teams are still tied, the reserve players will shoot. And no shooter on a team may shoot again until all players on that team have shot, including the goalie. So if you have 10 players on your team, all 10 players must shoot before that first person to shoot can take a second shot. The Intramural Sports Program at the University of Iowa partners with Buffalo Wild Wings to sponsor the Buffalo Wild Wings Intramural Sports Points Championship. This is a points championship that takes place throughout the entire year, every academic year for the Intramural Sports Program. Points are awarded to each team that participates in each sport based on how they finish. The first place team, the champions, get the maximum number of points, and it goes down from there according to your finishing position that season. To accumulate points, teams must keep the same team name throughout the year and must continue to register with that same team name. At the end of the year, champions are awarded in the men's, women's, fraternity, sorority, and co-rec divisions, and those championship teams receive a championship trophy, a $100 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Iowa City, and Buffalo Wild Wings champ t-shirts. If you are interested in playing outdoor soccer but do not have a team, or you are a captain looking for more players, we encourage you to attend the free agent meeting that is held on Tuesday, March 11th at 2 o'clock p.m. in room 201 of the Fieldhouse. At this meeting, free agents can join together to form a team, or captains looking for more players can find free agents to join their rosters. If our original divisions on imleagues.com fill up, we will have a waitlist meeting on Wednesday, March 12th at 2 p.m. in 201 Fieldhouse. At this meeting, teams that have completed the registration requirements but do not have a spot in a division will be able to select a new division that is opened up at that meeting. In order to complete your registration, now that you have watched the captain's video, you must pass the captain's quiz, and then you can start adding players to your team roster to meet the minimum player requirement. Once you do that, you can pay the registration fee on imleagues.com via PayPal. And finally, during the registration period, March 10th through 11:59 p.m. on March 11th, you can select your day in which you will play your intramural outdoor soccer regular season games, as well as the time, and you will select your team t-shirt color that your team will wear for all of your games. All of these steps must be completed by 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, March 11th in order for you to be included in intramural outdoor soccer. If you have any questions about outdoor soccer or anything related to the Intramural Sports Program, please call the Intramural Sports office at 319-335-9292, or you can email us at intramural-sports@uiowa.edu. Thank you for your attention during this video, and good luck to you and your team during the intramural outdoor soccer season.